The views and opinions expressed on Lifeguards Off Duty are those of its hosts and guests exclusively. They do not represent any entity, organization, or municipality.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Michael Katchmar.
I'm Tyler.
And I'm Sean.
And this is Lifeguards Off Duty with Dr. Michael Katchmar, the Jersey Shore #1 lifeguard-themed video podcast.
Watch us on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook Live. Listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever streaming service you prefer.
If you would like to contact us, send an email to drkatchmar@icloud.com. Follow us on Instagram at lg.association.
All right, let's get started.
Let's start the show.
Let's do it.
Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Michael Katchmar, and this is Lifeguards Off Duty with Dr. Michael Katchmar. And here's our lifeguard off duty, Sean. Say hello, Sean.
Hello.
Today's date is February 11th, the year of our Lord, 2022. And we have a special guest today coming all the way from sunny Miami, right? Sunny Miami. And
Wait, you here, Jerry?
can you hear us,
I
Jerry?
can hear you guys, and just let you know that it's wonderful sunny Miami Beach.
Yeah, what was the temp again?
We started this morning a little chilly in the mid-60s. We made it to 80, and now it's cooling down to about 75. So we're putting on our sweaters, our boots, and our sweaters.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. So that's great. You want to make it the screen okay with the screen the way it is? You want to make it a little bit bigger. So anyway, so Jerry, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Rumble, so we're and Spotify and also Apple Podcasts. So we're reaching a lot of people, and we really appreciate you coming on. It's really great to have you. So can you maybe start by giving us a little background, like where you started in New Jersey and how you got down there, and how you got to be working for one of the best and biggest beach patrols in the United States?
Well, I appreciate the intro. Wonderful. Thanks for having me, and look forward to having a great show. Well, I'm originally a Jersey guy, born and raised in Jersey City. Went to Marist High School in wonderful Bayonne, New Jersey. Made my way to Lifeguards State College, where I swam with, I think, some of your buddies. I swam with Joe Casino.
Right,
Gary
Joe.
Azzolini.
Yeah.
So a couple of Lavalette guys. And I made my way to Long Beach Island during the summers. Started my lifeguarding career in Surf City, the real Surf City. I have all sorts of arguments with my friends from Huntington Beach who think they're Surf City, but I tell them we're the real Surf City. And I spent about 10 years guarding on the Jersey Shore between Surf City and then moved over to Ship Bottom, New Jersey. And my full-time job was a lifeguard who was unemployed during the winter months, and I happened to teach in Jersey City. And having a teaching degree, I thought that was the way to do it, but I realized Jersey City, the teaching wasn't what I learned in college. So I went back to school to enhance myself with a master's degree, and at that point I said, well, let me do this. How about if I go to Florida and teach during the winter and come back to New Jersey during the summer? That's a pretty good deal.
Good way to stay out of the cold.
Yep. And when I got to Florida, the teaching positions weren't as readily available as I thought. So I walked out to the beach in Hollywood, Florida, took the test, and it's been that way ever since.
Wow. Jerry, you said you went to Marist in Bayonne, New Jersey. I actually was born in Jersey City and went to Our Lady Star to Sea in Bayonne, New Jersey.
I didn't know that, my friend.
Yeah. Where did you go? Where did you go to grammar school? You went to Marist High School.
I went to grammar school at St. Anne's. That's in the Heights section of Jersey City. The schools that I looked at going to high school were Hudson Catholic, St. Peter's Prep, and Marist.
Well, we moved right after I got out of grammar school down to the Jersey coast. So I was actually going to go to Marist probably. So my dad's went to Bayonne High School, and I believe he swam there. I think they had I don't know if they had a swim team or not, but we actually had another lifeguard who worked for us. His name was Richie Phillips, and he's definitely swam for. I'm pretty sure Bayonne High School. I think they had a swim team. Do you
Oh,
remember or no?
they sure did. And
Yes,
talk
yes,
about a rivalry. You know,
yeah,
the all
yeah,
Catholic schoolboys against the local
yeah.
public high school. Boy, did we have some great swimmers.
See that? So, well, that's great. So you got down there. What year did you get down to Miami, Jerry? When you started down there?
Well, first of all, when I got down, the city of Hollywood had a system where, believe it or not, the winter months were when they needed more lifeguards because of the influx of snowbirds. The beaches were actually busier in the winter than the summer. So it came down and they required you to be down by October 1st and stay till June 1st. So I did that. And I figured I still had that calling for the Jersey Shore to get back to Ship Bottom. So I did that for 2 years back and forth from Ship Bottom to Hollywood. And then the reality set in. When I left in June, 80-degree water, got up to Ship Bottom in June, and I'm not even going to venture what those water temps were, but I figured, hey, I'm staying south. So I started
Yeah.
with the city of Hollywood in 1985. After 4 years, I moved to Pompano Beach to become a lieutenant. And then I'm getting old, but I'm trying to remember all the dates. I've been with Miami Beach since 1993, so that's coming on my 29th year.
Wow. Wow. That's a long time. That's great. So I've been down to Miami Beach, South Beach several times over the years. One of my buddies has a condo down there, and that's a crazy beach, boy. That place. Oh man, that's crazy. So I could only imagine the stories that you could tell. You know.
Hey, what's the length of Miami Beach? How many miles do you guys guard?
Well, the reality is everybody knows South Beach, and when they come looking for South Beach, and South Beach is just the south end of Miami Beach. We have a mid beach and a north beach. We cover just about 8.5 miles of beach.
Wow.
Eight and
And
a half miles.
just so if anybody's listening from the city, we are not the city of Miami. We are the city of Miami Beach, two separate autonomous governments, entities, and so on. So when you hear about some of the bad things about Miami, it's not us. We're the glitz, glory, and hot stuff of Miami Beach. But we have 8.5 miles of beach, and we have 39 lifeguard stations.
39. Oh wow.
Yeah.
And how many lifeguards you have on your beach patrol?
Right now,
How many?
we're at about 99 full-time classified employees and approximately 47, 48 part-time on-call employees. So that puts us at about 150.
Wow. Wow.
Jerry, the Miami Beach has the stations instead of the stand setup. Can you tell me anything about how the
Towers,
difference? Well,
towers,
they don't have
towers.
the same thing that we got. Can you tell me
No,
how
we
the difference with you
no
and what
we
you think about that?
we don't have the as the chairs as we had in the old days. That we sat in the chairs that I did in Strip Bottom. I'm sure a lot of places along the Jersey Shore and the East Coast still do. But we have enclosed towers. We sort of have the standard, little small, what we call the box. Unfortunately, with hurricanes over the years, especially with Andrew, that destroyed most of the towers, we were able to enhance the towers because they figured, hey, we have some FEMA money. Let's, let the lifeguard towers reflect the Art Deco scene. So all our towers enclosed. They're rounded for lightning protection. They give us a high vantage point. We're protected from weather. And that's the key with doing a job 365 days a year.
I see.
Wow. Wow. So with the those towers, they don't move, right, Jerry? I mean, you got high, low tide, they just stay where they're at, right? They don't
The
move.
only time they do move is they are on skids. So when we have tropical storm conditions or hurricane conditions,
Oh, you
they
can
get
move them
pulled
back.
to the back beach section. So again, with a rising tide or a excess of water, but they are movable. nobody. I can remember at the end of the day in ship bottom, we used to put the towers on our backs and run them to the back of the beach, and we got them to the back of the beach faster. Was the camp, but no, these are almost full homes or boxes that keep the lifeguards protected.
Right, right. So how do you guys? So what's your main method? Like up here, we'll have a loose can go out and a rope can. Atlantic City might have a boat. So what? How do you guys? Do you have any main? What's your
What's the standard procedure?
for rescue? Yeah.
Well, the reality of the situation is anywhere you're going to have a victim or a swimmer in the water that needs assistance, there are varying things you're going to do. All our lifeguards are fully trained. Our philosophy is one victim, one rescuer. Back up, we rescue boats to come on the scene. So the reality is we still do the standard rescue. We use the hard can. We also use the rescue tube based on the circumstances. The hard can is for conscious individuals who can maintain positive buoyancy, where the rescue tube would be used for someone who's unconscious. So the reality is we're lifeguards, and we all, in a sense, do the same job. The one thing we really don't maybe utilize is the landline, which seems to be a predominantly East Coast, Northeast Coast, Mid-Atlantic type of rescue apparatus.
What was that, Jerry? I'm just going to say for the audience, we're having a little bit of a technical thing listening. What was the landmine?
The landlines, the
yeah.
school, when you say somebody out with a landline,
Yeah, landlines.
We don't use those. That seems to be a Mid-Atlantic situation, and they've been used for years and years in the Mid-Atlantic. And it's always been a great competitive event, the landline event.
So you guys still have phones connecting your towers. We have ham radios right now. Not ham radios, regular radios.
No, we don't utilize phones. We at one point did, but the fact that we had to move the towers during hurricanes, we had to disconnect the phone line. So now we go to Motorola handheld two-way radios.
Yes, too.
What's that? Yeah,
They use Motorola's like us.
Yeah, we just got all new Motorola's, and they're what do you call it? I'm just trying to. They're so really good. We've had Motorola's way in the past, and then we went to a different company, and the radios were starting to go. I tell you, it's so important. When we had John Moore on, he was talking about one of the crucial things about running a beach patrol is your communication, and what you have for communication. Very important.
Oh, absolutely, and we utilize both visual, verbal, signaling, and so on. So we viewed everything the toolbox that makes us effective in making the people safe at the beach.
Hey, Jerry, you know what? We're having a real hard time hearing you. Can you tell you what, you have my phone. We have the ability to call in. I don't want to interrupt it, but I think it would be a lot better.
Yeah, if you call in. You
just want to try calling in. It should sound really clear. Just call on. I mean, because we don't have the video and it's live, so we could always cut this out. But if you could, if you just want to try to, call me on my number and it'll ring through here. And I think we'll be able to hear you. It's really starting to break up bad.
Let me ask you a question. Is this better? Because I did not have my volume up on my phone. Is this much better? Or
no, it's more just about the connection in general.
Yeah, I don't know if I mean, you could try putting it up, but I think if you call, you'll be like super clear. We're not getting a video anyway, so we'd like to hear all this information. It's so important. So try if you could just,
just give Cashmore a call.
Just call me and then I'll put you right on here, and then you could, if you want to do that. I mean, it's no big deal. It'll take 2 seconds. All
Sounds
right,
good. Give me about a couple minutes and I'll have it to you.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep. Good. So let's get him. Right. So just like that. See, he was on the other one. See, put that back for a minute. Let me just see something here. Yeah. See, he was on. You had 2. You shut that one off. The other one. Put that back on for a minute. Just
it's.
Yeah.
Hey, Jerry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talk to us for a minute. I want to hear something now. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm just a regular guy doing regular things in a regular way.
No, this is way better.
Way better. We had 2 links going on. But just talk a little bit now. I think that might have solved it, what we did on our end. Can you speak again?
Don't
This-
worry, you'll get as much speak. My wife
Uh,
will complain, in regards to how much I do speak or how much I don't speak. So
No,
how am
now
I
you sound
sounding now?
great. Now you sound great. Now you sound great. I think it was, yeah, you know what it is? We had too many links going on right there. You sound good. So
Okay.
let's go back to now. You don't have to call in. If we do lose you, you could call in.
Yeah.
We have to, what were you asking now? The
Jerry,
question-
I just want to let you know you worked at Ship Bottom, but I just found out LBI in Jersey works year round. Just letting you know. Long Beach Island works like the entire year in New Jersey right now. Oh, we might have lost him.
Hello. Yeah, we're tough. We're having a tough day today.
Sorry for viewers out there. We're trying over here.
That's what happens with live, That's what happens with live. Let them call. So anyway, what were you saying about the ship on them? I'm sorry.
They work year round. I'm gonna Jerry Faulkner is from Miami Beach. He's the operations supervisor for the fire department and ocean rescue department.
Jerry, if you could hear us, call in.
Yeah.
On the phone.
He's a advisor for the Southeast USLA.
Cut that off. Yeah, let's see if he calls us in. Jerry, if you're still listening to us, call in.
This isn't looking good.
It's all right. He'll call in. We're all right. So get
and the VP for South Florida Patrol Chiefs Association.
So you don't want to have any dead time. I'm just making sure we're connected here. We're connected. So Jerry, if you call in, let him try calling in. He should just call in on my phone. He has my phone number.
It was really warm today. It felt like spring.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've been down there multiple times to Miami, and it's pretty funny. I remember because they have different, I didn't know there was two different municipalities.
Yeah, their towers, I've been there too. Their towers have like, they're all individual, and like there's some type of style or art part of it where like they're all
yes, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
I think there was some type
of
social government part of it that
right
got local artists to customize them, and I was going to talk to him about it. Hopefully we get the chance.
I know when I was down there, I was running the beach, and I noticed, there's like, I don't know if there's a nude section, but there's definitely a lot of topless, oh, here he comes. Hang on. Let me get him. Hang on. We're going to get you on here. Just give me 1 second, Jerry. I got to put you here. And can you hear me yet? Hang on. Connected. Here we go. You there? Hang on. We'll get you. We're going to get you.
I was actually stuck in Miami right before the whole COVID thing started.
Yeah. Hang on, Jerry. I'm getting you here.
So I'm just going to keep talking until he comes
Can you hear us? Hang on, Jerry. We're getting you.
Turn him up. Is he low on the
hang on.
Okay.
There you are. Can you hear us now?
I'm here.
Beautiful.
I can hear you.
Hey,
Absolutely.
we can finally hear you.
Put a couple of Jersey heads together and you'll get it done any way, shape, or form.
We got about $50,000 worth of equipment here, and that's why I have this go-to. I have the Roadcaster, and it's a great instrument. So you could call in or you could link in. But obviously the link in wasn't the best. You know what we could do? Listen, next time you're in New Jersey, we got a nice seat here for you. Right here. Where's your seat? That's your seat right there. So you can see
gotcha,
that's
gotcha. Now, where,
look at those. That's my old uniform.
From?
What's that?
Where you
Tom's
Where
River.
do you guys broadcast from?
Tom's River.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah,
great.
we got today's really bad. If you look at this is our signs backwards. We're having some problems. So let's go back to what we were talking about now.
Yeah,
so
Jerry, we're talking about how the Miami your towers have. They're all different, and there's a like, I don't know, a style or art part of them. Do you know what I'm talking about? Or is that not your beach?
Oh, no, absolutely. We were kind of the first ones. And like I said, we had the normal ramp, like your old California style towers with the box, the ramp. And after Hurricane Andrew in '92, most of those towers were destroyed. So with a little bit of extra money available through FEMA, the city decided, let's make the lifeguard towers reflect the culture and the Art Deco scene and so on. So they what would you call? They enlisted several artists and so on, and we created the different style of towers. It was pretty unique. They're probably the most photographed. People take pictures next to them of any lifeguard station in the world, and you can go online and you can see all sorts of Miami Beach lifeguard towers, but they all sort of had a sort of a theme or a designation. And over the years, as we've added more, we've had sort of tweaks and changes to them so that they would reflect the scene here on Miami Beach.
Jerry, are you watching the video? Because we put them up right now.
Yeah, there's some really great looking.
Are you watching the video part of this now? You still have it up on your desktop, whatever? Because we just pulled all the stands up. We're looking at them right now.
You know what they look like, but we're showing our
audience.
Right now.
I get to see them every day.
Yeah. Wow,
those are ours.
That's pretty wild. That's amazing. So that's really great.
And again, the key thing is that, to be effective, because the big difference from a seasonal position to a year-round position is the protection of the lifeguard from the elements, the weather, the sun, the factors, and so on. And again, the big factor is keeping the lifeguards out on the beach during inclement weather, lightning, and so on, because the reality is, and I think I heard on one of your shows, it's a big issue for trying to get people off the beach these days.
Absolutely.
So with our situation, we're able to stay out there. Now, again, the towers are grounded. We have enclosed vehicles, so on and so forth. But
wow.
It keeps us in tune with what we need to do as far as keeping the public safe.
Jerry, that's an interesting thing you just brought up. Let me just expand on that. So your towers, they're especially made to be lightning proof, so they could stay out there. Then that's how it's been. Really, that's amazing.
Well, first of all, over the course of the years, we have labor unions. The lifeguards are part of a labor union,
right?
So through negotiations and we made sure that initially we used to close the towers and clear the lifeguards. That wasn't the best thing to do, because the reality of the situation is it's kind of funny. Here in South Florida, when we get our storms during the summertime, the actual rain is cooler than the ocean. So a lot of people will pack all their stuff under an umbrella and then go jump in the ocean when the storms start. And again, it's not the rain that we're worried about; it's the lightning.
Yeah. Right.
So we wanted to keep the lifeguards out. We wanted to keep the lifeguards out on the beach. So all the lifeguard towers are grounded.
Wow.
I've actually, it doesn't protect them 100% of the time, but I've actually seen a direct strike to one of our lifeguard towers with personnel inside, and everybody's okay.
How close were you?
I thankfully get to drive a vehicle. So I was directly behind the lifeguard tower, probably about maybe, 25, 30 yards back.
That close?
And and we had, we cleared the beach. Everybody's getting off. We had a cell come right over us, a pretty intense one. The lifeguard tower took a direct hit. And aside from just sort of the stun of it, nobody was hurt, no issues, no problems. And it really showed the effectiveness of it. Absolutely.
So Jerry, how big, what's the inside dimensions of one of those towers? And what I'm thinking is that, up here, we're debating now how we're going to handle lightning and things of that nature. I wonder if we had, like, say on a beach, maybe one or two of those towers where the lifeguards could kind of corral in there. I'm just throwing it out. I don't know if that would be good policy or not, but and be protected and then still watch the water. I didn't even think about that. But how many people could fit in there? Like, how how big of a space is inside there?
Well, basically for us, as far as our day on the beach, we call it hostage training, where most of our towers are one person in them. The towers are staffed capable of 2 people. It's a pretty wide area. We also have storage in there, both underneath the tower and inside the tower, for the stuff that we leave, our gear, and so on. The reality of the situation, Mike, is the fact that if you want a couple of lifeguard towers, come on down. When we replace them, and you're going to laugh, they go to auction.
Really?
And we sell them. And know what the reality is? You can get a lifeguard tower such as ours for about $200, $250.
Get out of here. Wow.
The only problem is you have to arrange the transportation off the beach to wherever you want to take it. So when that runs into $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $6,000, that's when people go, "Oh, really?"
Wow.
So, but yes, they do sell them off at auction.
What do they go for brand new? How much are they brand new? Do you have an idea?
Over the years, obviously, with constructions and stuff, we started in the area of about 48,000. Ours run right now about mid 80s. Some of the other beaches up and down the coast are starting to do the same thing that we're doing. And I think right now they're somewhere a little bit over 100,000 each.
Wow. Ooh, that's a lot of money. Yeah. So I can see how a town would be a little bit, put by, but that's an interesting thing. So that could be protection. I didn't
Oh,
think
without a
that.
doubt.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's really good. Now, what, on your beach, I don't remember what you have, I guess you have, the, boats down there, or do you? And do you use the boats at all for just tournaments, or do you use them for any kind of rescues?
These days, no. As far as if you're talking about the dories, the surf dories,
Right,
from the old days of the Hankins to the Van
Right.
Dynes, no, we don't have those. We have probably, off the top of my head, I think we have 4 AC boats that are strictly used for the competitions and whatnot. This day and age, we're now all motorized with the jet skis and the rescue boats. So
Yeah.
the dories have sort of become a staple of the competitions, which gives the public a chance to see what we do and how we do it. But they're no longer, we don't use them at all in any sort of official capacity for rescue.
Yeah, we on our beach we have two jet skis. I think we're just getting 2 brand new ones this year, and we get the sleds. So they've been very effective. We've trained on them, and we really like them. They've changed the whole way we lifeguard. So that's a really good thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We use them for all sorts. We use them for crowd management. We use them for our triathlons that we have, or any events, open water swim. So it really makes a difference. And again, the advent of the sled on the back. I had the opportunity to train with our Hawaiian counterparts, and that's where I sort of had my indoctrination with the jet skis with the sleds. So it really makes a difference.
Oh, they're awesome.
Yeah. So on your beach too, when I was down here, I remember there was jellyfish when there was jellyfish alert. So we have it up here, but what's unique down to Florida as far as the marine life that you have out there that you need to deal with the public?
Well, the reality is it is God's fish tank, so anything and everything is out there. But the main issues that we have are basically 3. The jellyfish, which are the same ones we get along the Jersey Shore, we call them moon jellyfish. And we find that they're more irritating on a scale of 1 to 10. They're probably about a 2 or a 3 as far as the sting. We have what are called the Portuguese man of war, and those are in what people will call the blue bottles, or the blue. Those are extremely painful. They're on the 8, 9, and 10 pain scale, and for some people who have allergic reactions to them, it can be life-threatening, causing something called anaphylaxis.
We have we have a guard that lives in Florida half the year, and he was telling me he saw some kids playing with a man of war. And, he knows what it is. He was freaking out like that they were playing with it. He was unaware that after their sac fills with air, they're basically no longer poisonous. Do you know about that?
Oh, no.
That's what he told me.
Unfortunately, though, believe it or not, the sac is just the mode of transportation. It's a balloon type of situation that, depending upon which way the wind is blowing, is where they're going to end up. So again, if we have an offshore wind, we're not going to have any man of war. We have an onshore wind for several days. We're going to get them because they get blown in from the Gulf Stream. And it's the tentacles that create the issue.
Yeah.
And unfortunate thing is when the tentacles sometimes get separated from the body, they're still floating in the water and have the capability of stinging you. But a very important question, my friend, see if you can answer. What are the purpose of the Portuguese man of war?
Do they filter the ocean or something?
Well, it's the old school teacher in me, so I had to ask that question, my friend.
It's fine.
They're food for turtles, and they do look like plastic. They do look like things. So when plastic is in the ocean, whether it's a shopping bag of some sort or any sort of plastic, turtles eat that, and unfortunately, they can't digest that. But everything in life has a purpose, and the turtles' food for them is the man of war.
Jerry, today the turtles. It's interesting. I didn't know that. Did the turtles just eat the sack, or they eat the?
No, they think it's a plastic bag.
No, but they eat plastic bags because they think it's a man of war.
Yeah.
I think that's what he's saying. But do they eat the whole thing, Jerry, or just they go after the one section?
In all honesty,
know?
Mike, I don't think I've had a chance to sit down and dine with them. So, from our experience, though, that's the situation. And then the last thing we have is something called sea lice.
Oh.
And sea lice are the eggs of the jellyfish. And between Mother's Day and Father's Day, that's when most of the jellyfish release their eggs.
Mm-hmm.
It's a seasonal thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason they're called sea lice is it's not going to infest you. You're not going to have to bathe in anything or get your head shaven like they did in the old days. You don't have to go under the purple light. But the eggs don't have the capability of stinging you yet. So they get on your skin, and about 6 to 8 hours later, you're going to feel an itchy, irritating sort of rash. And again, for lack of a better term, it's been called sea lice. And those are the basic 3 things we deal with. And then the reality is we deal with predators. We don't use that S word in any way, shape, or form, because when we do, the television stations, everybody is ready to come out and find out what's going on. So we call them predators.
We use the term man in a gray suit. Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you. So we do have, and that will be the only other issue we have in the water. We do every once in a while have to deal with stingrays.
Are
again, when they come
lionfish
inshore.
Are lionfish not an issue for you?
Never had a situation personally with that. I've never dealt with one. More with the stingrays who come in, they bury themselves in the sand in a resting position. The purpose then is when you're in the water, shuffle your feet. That sort of vibrates and sends them on their way.
Yeah.
But the stingray has that stiletto type tail with some barbs in there, and that's another pretty painful situation usually.
Yeah, that got the what was the guy? The Australian. He died from
Steve Irwin.
Steve Irwin.
Oh,
So-
the croc guy. Yeah, absolutely.
So you talk about the turtles, Jerry. Do you guys have the turtles laying the eggs on your beach, and you got to deal with that? Like, because I was somewhere in Florida, I forget where, and they at night or during the morning, the people would come and mark where the eggs are, and they'd had flags, and you can't go there, and you can't disrupt it. You guys have to deal with that. Is that happening down on your beach at all?
That's something I believe, and I know here in Miami-Dade County, there's a special crew that's assigned every year. They have a full detail of people who come out and designate the turtle nest and so on. The turtles are an endangered species. So unfortunately, there are people who consider the eggs a delicacy for whatever reason. People want to get to the eggs. They are protected. So no, that's not something that we'd be involved with. That's done through the county organization that has a special crew that deals with handling and designating the eggs and when the turtles come ashore. And then they also release them too. And that's a pretty interesting situation,
Okay.
When they hatch.
Yeah, I think I might have been up in Melbourne and where it was. So what I wanted to ask you is, we ask a lot of our guests this, and is all the years that you've been lifeguarding, can you remember a really unbelievable rescue that was? We had Chip Bruce in here from Island Beach State Park. He had a great story, his kayak story, which is infamous. But do you have any story that you could tell us that was a really unbelievable, unusual rescue? All these years, and that comes to your mind that you could share with us in the audience?
It sticks in my mind, and I can bring it out to December 19th, 2005, 3:31 in the afternoon. The Chalks seaplane, 20 persons aboard, uses the port of Miami as a runway. It's a seaplane that goes from Miami to the island, specifically Bimini. And we were on the beach. It happened to be in my zone. It was the very southernmost lifeguard tower. We watched the plane take off, and the left wing fell off, crashed into the ocean, and unfortunately, there were no survivors. The lifeguards were the first on scene to designate the crash area. 19 souls were
lost.
Were left. The 20th, unfortunately, was about 3 days later with the outgoing tide that was recovered. But the reality of the situation is we prepare for just about everything we can think of. but to literally see a plane fall out of the sky, and it was only about 600 feet off the water, and it went in, and it was probably one of the most challenging situations at the time. At the time, I was a lieutenant. I was in charge of that zone. Our closest jet ski was launched within less than a minute, got on scene, and it was a pretty horrific situation. We worked very well with mutual aid from, other municipalities. And in my entire career, that was probably the most one that sticks with me. And as I can say, December 19th, 2005, 3:31 in the afternoon, that's when it happened. But the reality of the situation, every day is a challenge. And with rescues, people always say, well, how many people have you rescued? I can't count, but the ones that stick with you are the ones that unfortunately, for whatever reason, weren't successful rescues. Those are the ones that really, when you think about it, are the ones that stick with you and really make you hopefully learn from them.
Well, that crash, believe it or not, I remember that. I'm not that because I was down there, but I have flown on those planes down in the island from St. Thomas to St. Croix. And I remember it was an older plane, and so it does stick out in my mind. But with regard to the recovery, and you don't have to get into the gruesome part, but were you guys responsible for the recovery of the people who were on that plane, or was there, do you guys have a scuba team? Like who had that go down as far as the resources and the assets that were put into that?
Well, first of all, the initial thing, it was amazing how many, agencies responded to, because again, around 2005, there was still issues with, people wondering if it was terrorists, something, or whether it was it possibly shot down, was it an explosion, and so on. So with that said,
I didn't think of that.
We are the city of Miami Beach. The city of Miami responded. Miami-Dade County responded. The reality was, as I say, we were the first on scene. So we designated the crash site. The plane ended up in probably a good 15 to 20 feet of water. Some of the souls are, were floating to the surface. Others were obviously still strapped to their seats and so on. So we worked with our police units, with our police dive team from other municipalities. Miami-Dade County has one of the larger departments in regards to fire, and they also have their lifeguards in the fire department. And as you can see, Miami-Dade also did the Surfside collapse. So in regards to the plane crash, there were multiple agencies involved in that, and the lifeguards, we learned a lot from that. We learned, sometimes you can respond, and sometimes you have to be cautious, because the one thing we learned, putting lifeguards in the water with jet fuel, we had to make sure everyone was fully decontaminated after it. But we learned from that. The first thing a lifeguard wants to do is get in the water.
Yeah, it really
get to the victim and so on. So in that situation, we learned, and I guess they also learned from the World Trade Towers, the adjustments. Are we really going to scale X amount of floors and the possibility of a collapse? So we all, as first responders, as emergency personnel, learn from everything we do. But that was a very interesting thing, and it sticks in my mind, and I'll take that with me always.
Yeah, well, that's a good point there. I didn't think about the fuel. There was one of the fishing boats, a big one, coming in Barnegat Inlet. It was foggy, and they went south and went into the rocks near the lighthouse, and they stranded, and they got everybody off the boat, and the lifeguards were involved in that. Can you imagine? I don't know how big, maybe 100 foot, maybe bigger. There was probably 50, 60 people who were on that boat who were fishing. Anyway, I didn't think about, it's the hazard to the lifeguards. That's interesting. But
and then what's interesting you say about that? Oh, we have a lot of practice here in South Florida with the migrants that are attempting to come ashore. I can tell you multiple stories of, Cuban, Haitian migrants, in these unbelievable vessels that you wouldn't think would be seaworthy.
Where do they make them out of?
From?
What do they make them out of?
Oh, it's all sorts of stuff. They're very ingenious. They're very creative and stuff. You know, old car engines for motors and whatnot.
Wow.
But we've
Wow.
had our share of dealing with the migrants and stuff coming ashore and so on. So we're pretty good at it in regards to recognizing it and so on. And just a real quick, when you say we're on one of the chalks of planes or one of the seaplanes, I happen to have only one opportunity to ride on one of those. And in all honesty, looking back now, it's like, these things are crazy. They take off from the water. They're a little rickety and so on. But the reason we were doing it was we flew over to Bimini and we rode back to Florida.
Wow.
How much of a distance is that?
We did that in September of 1988, 11 hours and 8 minutes, rowing from Bimini to Florida. We hit the beach in Hallandale Beach, Florida, and we raised about $70,000 for two terminally ill sisters. And again, one of those things that sticks with you over a career that you're proud of.
Wow.
Now it's not. We weren't proud of the seaplane crash, but we were proud of the way we responded and reacted. And then, of course, the things that we can do for the public, such as, you know, have benefits and raise monies and stuff like that, really makes the difference.
How many rowers were there, Jerry? It was just you? I mean, just two rowers, or like?
Oh no!
It was the whole team.
We had a group of 4 crews, and you did an hour on and 2 hours off, and we just rotated.
All right.
And it took 11 hours. So we had a beautiful night, full moon, following seas. Just one of those, you know, I hate to say a spiritual experience, but it was pretty fantastic.
Wow.
Just doing it, and then the purpose we were doing it. So it worked out well.
Well, you know, talking about that, I wanted to ask you, because this was something that I've seen and people talk about, and they always ask me. And somebody was asking me, I don't know if it was Joe, but talk about this. They call it the elephants. So of course, you know, you have you guys went right through the Gulf Stream, and the Gulf Stream is a current going from south to north. And I'm told that when the wind blows from north to south, it kicks up the ocean there, and you could actually see it from the beach. Is this a myth, or am I right on that? So you could actually see the waves out there. They really build up, and they look really monstrous. What's the deal?
Well, first of all, you have your inshore and your offshore. So when they do the weather reports, they'll talk about the inshore surf and the offshore surf.
Right.
But yes, out on the horizon is the Gulf Stream. And if you know your Nemo movies, the Gulf Stream, channels of water that, you know, circumvent the Earth that, you know,
Right.
Nemo used to get around.
That's a great way to explain it
again,
to people. That was great.
Absolutely. You know, people say Gulf Stream. What are you talking about? Is that, you know, what is that? So when we get our cold fronts, and we just every once in a while get down maybe into the chilly areas, when the wind blows from the north against that, you can see it offshore, and you can see the waves rolling. One of the biggest questions we get, people come up and say, "Hey, what's that highway out there?" It's not a highway. It's just the waves rolling, and they're not breaking, but they're rolling. So if it's say 4 to 6 feet inshore, it's probably double that offshore, if not bigger sometimes.
Wow.
And again, the cruise ships use it, the commercial, the freighters use that as basically a conveyor belt. And again, flying over it, to fly from Florida to the islands, you fly over within about a 10-mile distance, you have the aqua green, and then the Gulf Stream turns to, for lack of a better term, that Pacific sky blue. And it
Wow.
really looks like a river within. And then as you get over to the Bahamas, it remains that way. But yeah, the Gulf Stream is like the jet stream. You know, the planes use the jet streams for their advantage, and same thing with the shipping industry.
Jerry, it's been a long time since I've been out there at the Gulf Stream, but is it a real definite like line? You're going, and then you could see it bang. It's like a
absolutely.
So
absolutely.
it's a definite.
It's a definite mark of demarcation where you can see it, and it fluctuates. It will come in and go out. The rule of thumb, it's probably about 10, 12 miles offshore. And unfortunately, from a land view, you're not going to see it fly over it. You'll definitely see it.
Right, right. So you're, down on your beach. So what's how warm does that water get? Like, say, what's the highest temperature it gets in the I guess on the on season or off season, whenever? When does it get into the 90s, or is it just around mid 80s? What's
Well,
what's one-
right now, we're probably we've just about bottomed out. Usually about mid-February. Right now, it was a chilly 76 degrees for me today. If it goes under 80, it's a little chilly for me. No, I'll go in, but we will top out at probably in the heart of summer, late August, early September, probably about 88 degrees. Now, people think, wow, that's great, warm water. But when the air's 90 and the humidity's 90, you're basically changing, as we call it, sweat for wet. And it really doesn't cool you off. I wish at times we could have that Jersey Shore 72, 73, because we always used to wait till the end of this August and wait for those warm waters, for everything to warm up and say, wow, 72, 73, let's go in. And here, if it goes under 80, it's a little bit chilly for me. But right now, today, with 76 degrees, 23 degrees Celsius.
Jerry, with the when I was down in Miami, the topography of the water was all very consistent. There was like no holes. It was just really flat out. Is that a natural thing, or is that just is that man-made?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
There you go.
No. Well, first of all, the one thing that changed specifically Miami Beach and some of the coastal towns are the sand renourishment, and that has had an impact on the beaches, widening them, pumping in sand, obviously for the purpose of protecting, because along the coast of Florida, just like New Jersey, they're called barrier islands. And in all honesty, Miami Beach is nothing more than a glorified sandbar. So when they do the pumping in, that has changed sort of the topography of the bottom. No, in some cases, that can be a real challenge for us because they're called inshore holes. And depending upon, we're not going to get any heavy duty surf, but when we do get surf and those sandbars get pounded, the sandbars can shift. So we can get areas that are extremely shallow and extremely even on the bottom. And then some places where, you're walking along at, thigh to knee deep, and then you can step in and you'll be up to your chest. So no, it's a challenging situation. And the biggest factor that they've been able to attribute that to is when they pump in sand, because that changes sort of the dynamic of the beach and also the dynamic of the bottom of the ocean.
So Jerry, because you've been up in New Jersey, so is it do you have the traditional holes and gullies like we do? And we don't have them all the time. I mean, it changes year by year. But I thought down there there's that the sort, it's very hard, and like down in the Caribbean, when I go down there's a lot of coral. So there's beaches there that the runs really don't change if where they're located, because it's kind of hard coral. So you're saying that you guys got more shifting sand because of the replenishment, or is that just typical? I mean, it's going to change. So if you go down there, you have to be very careful, especially year to year. Well, I guess your topography would change. Is that accurate? Is that what happens?
Oh, absolutely. Again, thinking of my days in ship bottom, again, the jetties were always a factor depending upon the surf and whatnot. The sand on the windward side would build up, and on the opposite side, which is called the leeward side, you'd lose the sand. We have the same thing here now. Miami Beach got rid of all their jetties and whatnot. Those were taken out because they found it had the opposite effect on protecting the beach as far as erosion. But the reality is, no, we don't have basically any coral and whatnot. You can go out maybe 100 to 150 yards sand bottom, comparable to the Caribbean, the islands, and also Hawaii. But no coral. Most of the reefs are further out, and that's where most of the marine life fluctuates.
So that's interesting. I didn't know that. So I want to ask you something else too, because up here we've had Timmy Hartman on. We've been talking a lot about we have kids up here who work on our beach between we can't run a beach patrol without having 16 and 17-year-old kids on the beach. It's a fact of life. And it's been some questions about how much they could do and they can't do. And do you guys down there have a lot, because we have the junior lifeguard program. So number one, do you guys have a junior lifeguard program? And how many, is there an age restriction on you guys? You have a lot of young, because it sounds like you have a lot of full-time. So how do you guys integrate that into your program? What's your policies with regard to that?
Well, first of all, great guy in Timmy Harmon.
Yeah.
Know him well. I respect him a lot. The reality is, as far as employment, 18 years old is the starting point. In all reality, and I don't want this to sound too arrogant, but we are a place that is sort of comparable to the Yankees. We get lifeguards from other beaches. And so it's rare that we get what you would call the true rookie. Most of our lifeguards that come from other beaches based on our work situation, meaning our hours of work. We work 4 10-hour days a week. Our pension, our pay. There's no one on the East Coast that can match us. And I can remember years and years ago at a national USLA meeting, the LA County guys sort of cornered me and wanted to know, hey, how did you get that pension you have? And if we want to talk about that in a bit, I'll fill you in on that.
Yes, we do.
But no, we don't. First of all, we hire part-time individuals who have to be vetted first. You go from part-time to full-time, so you don't come in as a full-time lifeguard. Secondly, we work 365 days a year. Annually, we have a swim test in November to fill in for any opening spots.
What is your swim test?
Our swim test is a 200-yard run, 500-yard swim, 200-yard run. We base it time on the conditions. We send out a rabbit and sort of not the slowest person, so we get a sort of mid-time. Once you pass the physical swim test, we now have an extensive background check with the fire department. We have several levels of, vetting people, and then they go through an interview. And from there, they come into us. They go through a 40-hour training, and this is just for the part-time people. Part-time people then have the ability, when there's an opening, to apply for a full-time position. So it's pretty extensive. So we don't have the 16, 17, and also 18-year-olds. Most of I can't think of the last employee who came in, lifeguard that came in, who was probably under 20. So we do have an advantage of having a little bit of a older, mature person. You can get a mature 16-year-old and a jerky 20-year-old.
Absolutely.
But fortunately, we have the ability to get a little bit older. And the reality, too, is the competitive swim test. We've had former Olympians. We have former, swimmers, water polo players. We currently have a young lady who was I believe it was 2008 in Beijing, a rower who's with us now.
Wow.
So we are lucky enough to be able to attract, I'm not going to say a higher class, but a more developed individual who's applying for, again, they're looking for a full-time position. So I think that's the difference. Instead of just a summer job or a seasonal job, they're looking for a full-time profession and year-round job. So that's the difference.
So
that
Jerry,
answers your question.
How did you get your pension, as you pointed out?
Oh, well, we're a good civil servant, my friend. My dad always used to say to my sisters, marry a guy with a pension. We have a very good benefit package. We have different levels. Again, the part-time lifeguards come in, then we have what's called an L1. That's the first level of full-time employee. From there, you have an L2, which is a supervisor, to which you must work here 5 years before you can, as a full-time, before you can apply for the L2. As the L2, you can apply before 2 years as an L2 to be a lieutenant. And then in my position, which is an operations supervisor, which in any other place would be equivalent to a captain. And then above me is a division chief in the fire department, and then it goes through all the levels of the fire department. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, Jerry. So our audience understands. So the beach patrol is part of the fire department, or under that department. So you're actually a department then, and that's probably one. I mean, that would explain a lot. I think, I don't know if Atlantic City is similar, but so you guys are under the fire department. Is there a cross, like, if you're a lifeguard, you can go into the fire department, or is anybody from the fire department go into lifeguarding, or is it any kind of mix there, or no? It's just a separate section, but it's under one roof.
It's under one roof. We are the Miami Beach Fire Department Ocean Rescue Division. So we do have individuals who want to be firefighters. Early on in my career, I thought that was going to be the way to go too, but I enjoy the lifeguarding. I love the job that we do, and in all honesty, I don't want to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to take somebody's head out of a windshield. The lifeguarding is big. But again, yes, as city employees, as civil servants, we're well compensated, and along with that comes a pension, just as say a teacher would get a pension, or any other profession would get a pension. It's a real nice situation if you're looking to make life-saving, lifeguarding your career.
Right.
With all due respect, I get a kick out of this when lifeguards say, "Well, I had to get a real job." Well, I did.
Yeah.
And my real job is saving lives. Now, again, the reality is I don't expect to see the beaches being covered on a day like today, or during a snowstorm and whatnot.
Yeah.
So based on the seasonal aspect, not every place can have year-round lifeguards. So you really have to go find a place where you can do that.
No, so I guess so many questions. So with you guys, you said there was a union. I want to just expand on that a little bit. But when you talk about this, so Miami Beach is a full-time department. I'm very sure there's a lot of places in Hawaii and also California. What other places that you know of? Just, I don't want an exhaustive list, but how many other places have full time? I mean, Chicago. I know Chicago's cold, but I mean, I know this place like Atlantic City. They have people who are full time, even though they're not lifeguarding full time. They're on the payroll full time. So, do you have any enlightenment on that? How many other beach patrols are full time, and percentage wise? I mean, is half the beach patrols? Or any idea?
Well, I could go just start from the south and go north. Miami-Dade, which is the county that we're in, they are part of the fire department. They have lifeguards that take care of the county beaches and the county parks. Then there's Miami Beach. You can go literally up the coast too. The city of Sunny Isles, Hallandale, the city of Fort Lauderdale, Pompano Beach, Hollywood. They're all part of the fire department. That seems to have been the transition. Another aspect is, as you go up the coast and you get to Volusia County, people don't really recognize Volusia County, but the big name for Volusia County is Daytona Beach. Their full-time people are part of the sheriff's department. So they also have arrest and law and order capabilities along with their lifeguarding duties. You go out to California, into the California state parks, and their lifeguards, their full-time people, are called peace officers. They do have the ability to cite, arrest, and detain. Hawaii, a good friend of mine who's out in Kauai, city and county of Honolulu. So over the course of the years, what we found out, now to give a little bit of history on Miami Beach started the lifeguards in the police department. It then morphed into its own department based on the needs that they had to deal with on the beach. From its own department, we then went into Parks and Recreation Department. And the reality was the fire department was probably the best fit we've had for the last 20, maybe a little over 20 years now. So again, there's nothing wrong with a great Parks and Rec department. Now, when I was in Chip Bottom, we were under the police department. So it's just a question of where a municipality wants to assign and who has the capability of directing the lifeguards. But my personal opinion is the fire department, with what we do together from our medical training as EMTs, paramedics, and so on, the rescue response that we do, the fire department is the best marriage for lifeguards.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know. And so just if you could just touch on the union now, for the lifeguard. I guess it's the same one that the fire department are part of.
No, we're
No?
not part of the fire union, the IAFFF. We are part of what's called the Communication Workers of America. And within that, there are police dispatchers. I can't name all the other departments in the city, but predominantly it's that. And again, union contract requirements, responsibilities, and things we have to adhere to. And again, I don't want to get into how unions are these days. Some have very positive effects. Some may not have the most positive effects, but it's very beneficial to the safety and well-being of the lifeguards, the ability to negotiate, bargain, and get some very important things for them.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. The other thing I wanted to ask you is,
Sure.
you guys, we follow USLA. We have New Jersey USLA, like, especially with Tim. So what do you guys, follow the USLA? Do you have other things that you add to it, where you feel it's more pertinent to your, area, or is it just, you go for that verbatim? Like, how do you, where do you lie on that, or with regard to your, policies?
Well, the USLA, United States Life Saving Association, is basically the only national organization for, here's the spiel, open water and surf lifesavers. Now, I've served 2 terms as the USLA Southeast Region President. It's got some great benefits and advantages. The key thing and most important thing I've found out in being involved with the USLA is the networking. I can pick up a phone and I can call someone in Huntington Beach and say, hey, how do you handle this situation? What are you doing in regards to that? I've had San Diego call me up and they say, hey, do you have a lightning policy in place? It never rains in Southern California, like the song used to say.
Mm-hmm.
But when they do get it and they have lightning, how do you clear a beach of, how many thousands of people? So they learned from us. We learned from them. Again, nobody needs to reinvent the wheel. The USLA's biggest aspect is the ability to network. Now, we are a USLA certified agency. We follow all their directives and criteria. We add in what is unique to Miami Beach, because the reality is we don't have the same surf as Southern California or Hawaii. But the reality is, when an individual enters any body of water, there are certain things that you need to be prepared for, and certain things that you need to do. And that's the advantage of the USLA. With the certification, it gives recognition that we do meet a certain standard. And in all honesty, that has helped us, beneficially with contract negotiations. We adhere to a national standard, which elevates us to an agency that can do a lot of things. Our fire department is a Class 1 department. I don't know. That's a high recognition for a fire department to have. So between the fire department being a Class 1 and us being a certified USL agency, it's a big advantage. But to answer your question, I've been very involved in the USLA over the years. There's a term I like to use: learn it, live it, give it. I learned the life-saving profession. I lived it, and now it's time to give back. And as I say, I've made friendships, I've made relationships from Hawaii to California to Galveston to the Gulf Coast of Texas, and then of course my background and history, with the East Coast and friends and family in New Jersey. So the networking thing, I think, is the most important thing for the USLA.
Yeah. And can you just give us a brief overview of how it is for a typical lifeguard? Because again, we're part-time, and you guys are all year round. So is it 6 days a week, 5 days a week? You guys go from 9 to 6? Like how and what kind of breaks? Just a generalized, how it is to be a Miami Beach lifeguard.
Yeah. How does the day go?
How does the day go? Be
Okay,
interested. This-
perfect example is first of all, we use the whole month of February as our training month. So this is when we renew our USLA certifications. We make sure everybody's up to date with their CPR, the EMTs, and so on. So that's what we do. So a typical day, we're 8 to 6. 4 10-hour days.
Is everyone on your staff an EMT?
We're getting there. Out of the 99 full-time people, I believe we have 9 that are not EMTs, and they've been grandfathered
That's
in.
awesome.
Wow.
All new employees coming in must be EMT. Part-time employees coming in must get their EMT within the first year. So our day starts at 8 o'clock. We have an hour of formal training. We have roll call at 9 o'clock. From 9 o'clock to 9:30, we get everybody out to the beach, equipment, vehicles, so on and so forth. 9 o'clock, we have what's called a radio roll call, and then our day starts. And we work until 6 p.m. So that's just before we touch base tonight. I went off shift, and at 6 o'clock, we're done. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. So the kid, they must get, I mean, lunch break and breaks in between. Like how does that? Yeah.
Believe it or not, in regards to our contract, the first 2 hours of the morning are allowed for training. The last 2 hours of the afternoon are provided for training, conditions permitting. 2 15-minute breaks in the first half hour of the day, 2 15-minute breaks in the second half of the day. There's really no lunch hour. And as I mentioned earlier, that's why we called it hostage training. We're out on the beach. We're there. It's a full 10-hour day. We've talked about it over the years. Is it beneficial to have an hour lunch break or a designated lunch break? No, the lifeguards would rather be paid a full 10 hours without having to work 11 hours with an unpaid thing. So there's a lot of technicalities in regards to negotiations, but we do a full 10-hour day. And then when we get into the busy days, we call it, first of all, 100 days of hell. And we're in sort of the midst of that now. We're not the summer season. The winter for us is the busy time. And from the 3-day Martin Luther King weekend in January through the Easter holiday, we call it 100 days of hell. Because it just starts to build.
Is spring break hell week then?
Spring break is about a 10-week period, my friend, due to the fact that, again, over the last 2 years, with the COVID situation, different schools do different things. But depending if you're on trimesters, semesters, it makes a difference.
Yeah.
So basically from mid-January through the Easter holiday, it peaks for like 2 weeks in March. But as I say, 100 days of hell, because the reality is, if we're lucky enough, we get a Super Bowl in there. And that creates, a large influx of people. Now go back to December, and we had, we usually have 3 or 4 major teams come in. This year we had one of the playoff games with Michigan and Georgia. So that brings fans, family, and, their entourages in. So the winter for us is busy. When people say, oh, well, do you hire for the summer? No, we hire for predominantly the winter. That's why we bring all our people in at the end of January, February. And then the reality is we used to get light duty kind of in the summer months because it's so hot here. But now we're starting to see the affluent South Americans start to winter up here because our summer is their winter. So, my friend, we are doing 365 days a year and keeps us in business. And it's an interesting thing. I wouldn't want it any other way. It keeps the job interesting.
No, it's interesting you say that, because I when I was going down there, and there was in this condo that my buddy owns, there was people from South America, and I don't remember exactly where, and they were coming in, and he was telling me that's a more of was a trend. But when you're on the big season right now, our beaches, we try to control the alcohol and things of that nature. I kind of remember. Do you have? First of all, how many people would you get, say, on a really crazy day? 4th of July weekend or something. How many thousands of people do you think that are is on your beach or beaches? And then what's are you allowed to have alcohol and food? Like, how does that all work? Umbrellas? Because there's a lot of restrictions up in New Jersey. Some beaches are very lax. Some beaches are very strict. So, I mean, actually to the point where how big the umbrella could be. So what kind of, things do you have there? Be interesting to hear that.
Well, basically, we have the same type of things. We have a list or a placard at every entrance to the beach that tells you no fires are permitted, firearms, pets have to be of the service animal category. And I hate to say that train has left the station because it seems like every animal is a service animal. No glass, no bottles, no alcohol and stuff. And the reality is, in most cases, out of sight, out of mind. If it becomes an issue such as the alcohol or glass, most people are pretty good, the alcohol cans and so on. But if an issue with alcohol becomes an issue, we have the enforcement and we have the ordinances and the laws on the books to deal with that. As far as umbrellas, nothing goes in front of the lifeguard towers. Nothing can obstruct the view of the lifeguard. Now we have an ever-changing shoreline, so that can fluctuate and create some issues for us. So we try to get people early in the day, especially with the tide line, with the incoming or outgoing tide. So people just are not permitted to block the view of the lifeguard in any way, shape, or form. In regards to the crowd size, there are days there's not a spot of sand left on the beach.
So
then there are days where, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, so what numbers? I mean, I know because you got free beach, right? The beaches are free. I mean, I don't know, they're all free or in Florida. I don't.
Oh, absolutely. There's no way that we can control or manage the amount of people that come. And when you say a day like the 4th of July, the 4th of July starts and it builds and builds and builds, because on your normal day, people come to the beach and then they leave. For 4th of July, they come and they stay, and then more come for the fireworks and so on. So I can say anywhere, I can tell you beaches that have, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10,000 people and whatnot. Miami Beach has very unique aspects. South Beach is the glitz and glamour. That's where we're going to have the highest numbers of people. Then we get to what we call mid beach. Those are the big hotels. If you know the Fontainebleau, the Eden Rock, these are the hotels that are high end and so on. We get to North Beach. That's more of a residential, family oriented thing. That's where most of your local people will go to the beach. But the reality is, Miami Beach in the city, in South Florida, is really the only ocean beach that you really have access to. And the reason I say that, Miami-Dade has a park that's called Hallover, and I thought I heard mention about some toplessness or some nudity. Miami-Dade County has a specifically nude beach. Miami Beach does not, and that can be very confusing because when they want to strip down, we go, no, you have to go about 8 or 9 miles north to Hallover Park where the nude beach is, and that can be challenging. But no, we in all honesty, we get slammed.
I can imagine. I can imagine. Yeah,
just like on the weekends again, when the causeway backs up and it takes 3 hours, 4 hours to get on the Garden State Parkway. We have the same thing here.
Yeah. Well, we're Seaside Heights, so you can imagine. But so the hotels and everything, there's no private beaches, no private lifeguards. You guys have all of that jurisdiction, or is there some carve outs anywhere?
No. There are sections of beach due to the distance between the lifeguard towers or what are considered unguarded. We respond to everything.
Okay.
Our responsibility on the books is 400 feet north and south of the lifeguard tower, and we have what are called vessel exclusion buoys 150 yards offshore. That is not the bathing limit, but that is the vessel exclusion limit. That is specifically the direct area of lifeguard's responsibility. And of course, via 911, when we get the call and a dispatch, we're going to respond to anywhere that's considered unguarded.
How far out, Jerry? How far out with the water? Is the lifeguard
The vessel exclusion buoys are 150 yards out.
yards, 150
Now,
yards. Okay.
Now,
Yeah.
and that's to keep the vessels out. Now, everybody,
Right.
and it's a nice tall buoy that sits out there.
Right.
Everybody thinks that's a swim limit. No, our philosophy is we let people swim as far as we can successfully rescue them. And that could be in certain areas, depending upon, again, the topography of the ocean bottom. You know, there are some areas where you can walk out, 100 yards and you're in, waist to knee deep water. Other areas where it's going to drop off. So we want to let people swim as far as we can successfully rescue. And what does that mean? We want to get them out of the water within 4 to 6 minutes to successfully resuscitate someone who is not conscious without a pulse.
Oh, really? So that's interesting. So the way you set up is you like for in the hospitals here, if we have somebody who has a heart attack, it's from the time they get the EMS gets initiated an hour to the cath lab. So you guys actually have a protocol where you want to make it where you get this person out within 4 or 5 minutes of if they get unconscious. Is that's what I'm hearing? Is that how you're?
We want to introduce all life-saving maneuvers within 4 to 6 minutes. With a unconscious, pulseless person, we want to get an AED introduced as quickly as possible. So taking a victim out of the water, we now designate them as a patient, and our goal is to do it as quickly and as effectively as possible. And it's the same thing with the fire department. Now, we're a big asset to the fire department because, again, there are a lot of times we can respond to situations that they can't get to in that 4 to 6 minute window because the traffic on a weekend here on Miami Beach, Ocean Drive, forget about it. And so, again, our rule of thumb is 4 to 6 minutes for anything and everything we deal with, if not faster. The philosophy is, be quick, but don't run. Make sure you get to the scene, get it stabilized, and do whatever is necessary for now a victim who needs patient care.
Wow, that's very impressive. I mean, that's the goals that we try to do, and but that's I really think that's something very important that you just said, that everybody should really take to heart, that you should think on those lines where, just like, because I'm a physician, we want to get something done quickly, like with a stroke or get him into the cath lab. So here you're talking about getting him out and getting treatment. That's interesting. And then again, that could change how far you let him out. And we joke around on our beach. We have red flag days because the ocean's bad, but we have red flag days because our clientele is so bad. So,
well, we also do too.
Yeah.
Within the state of Florida, through the USLA and the National Weather Organization, I believe it's NOAA, we now have a statewide standard flag system of red, yellow, green, and then purple, and then a double red. So the red, yellow, green, think of a stoplight. The purple is for marine life, stinging marine life, not the predators. A double red would be for the predators. So again, you go anywhere to a beach in the state of Florida, you're going to have the same. It used to be everybody had their own flag system, but we were able to unify that so that one flag didn't mean one thing here and somewhere else a different thing.
Yeah, I think it's pretty uniform in New Jersey, but
Good.
Yeah, I think we're getting. I think a lot of people. It's great to interface with the public, but I tell you, it sounds like I'm so impressed. I mean, you guys are certainly, like you said, the Yankees, and very professional, and that's why I wanted to have you on the show, because I mean, I learned so much from what you said, and it's amazing. We need to get you back on the show. Again, if you maybe we could get you in so we could see you. We could have an audio and video. Well, at least we saved it.
I'd love you to be able to see me. Just like I said earlier, I worked out this morning. I got all pumped up. I was hoping to,
got your hair done and everything.
Absolutely. I shaved and made sure, everything was ship-shape and ready to go.
Yeah, I don't know what.
The one thing I'd just like to add, just before if we want to wrap up about the ability to respond. The one thing we try to impress, and I think especially for young lifeguards that we do here. And again, we don't have the 16, 17, potentially 18-year-old kids.
Right. Right.
It's not what happens. It's what you do after it happens. The
Right.
one thing I've seen over the years is there's things that you just have no control over, things that you cannot prevent. Our goal is to surveil, do preventative actions, and so on. But once something happens, it's what you do after it happens. Never expected a plane to fall out of the air.
No.
It's what you do after it happens. And so, and especially with younger lifeguards, maybe they're hesitant to make mistakes and so on. Don't worry about making a mistake. But once something happens, make sure you know what to do after it happens. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah,
but
it's
I
a
just
great
wanted to
point.
sort of
It's a really
tie that in.
No, that's a good point. I belong to the Coast Guard Auxiliary, and we have these things. You to develop. You approach things from a risk standpoint, and the mishap,
Yeah.
and how you could it's called peace. I'm very sure you went through it all, and that we've had a couple shows on that. But let me before I again, I want to ask you one. I got so many questions. So what do you guys down there? I guess by 6:30, it's starting to get dark. I mean, so what do you do? What's the after hours? We talked about this a little bit. This is a big controversy up here, by the way. Not a controversy, but we deal with it. It's the after season, which you don't have to really deal with because you're 365 days a week. But what happens in early morning before you guys get there and after you guys leave? What's the coverage? Is there need for coverage? And how does the Miami Beach Patrol handle that or deal with it?
Okay. Well, first of all, based on the daylight savings, we're 8 to 6. When we change the clocks and we go to the longer days, we'll then shift to 9 to 7. Depending upon the crowds and whatnot, at the end of the day, if we have to extend hours, we will extend hours. In regards to, we do not respond 24 hours a day. So when we leave the beach, as I did tonight, I will go off shift with the fire dispatcher, and then the fire department would be responsible for any sort of water rescues. Now, we've worked very closely with them, and they've learned from us, and we've learned from them. But the after-hours stuff, the fire department does. They have designated rescue swimmers. We've supplied them with spools for line rescues. You'll now see in what we call a full response or a full assignment to a drowning, that the engine will pull up with rescue boards on them. So prior to us coming on duty and us going off duty, and Miami Beach with its crazy nightlife, the reality is people do things after dark on the beach that they really shouldn't be doing. They're going for swims. I don't know how many people want to see the sunrise come up and they go for a swim after being out all night. So there are unfortunate situations that happen before we come on duty and after we go on duty. We make sure that when we're on duty, everything's dealt with. When we go, we make sure our fire side is fully capable and ready to respond.
Wow. Well, that's pretty impressive. I tell you, it's we could just keep going on and on. I think we're hitting like an hour and 22. You believe it? It flies. And
when you get a couple of Jersey boys together, we need a couple of
beers.
Cold ones
Yeah.
tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, we would have kept.
It's funny. My wife will say, I can't remember what you told me to do tonight, and I think she might be listening now. But when you get a bunch of lifeguards together, I can tell you about a race 35 years ago, and I can tell you it second by second who did what, how anybody did, and so on.
Yeah.
But if she says, "Hey, could you do this for me? Pick this up for me tonight," I'll say, "Oh, I forgot." But you get a bunch of lifeguards together, and we start talking and going over this competition and who was better and what race was won, and it's all good.
Well, we got a lot of young kids listening to us, and they really get inspired. They love to hear the stories, and we're trying to put it out for them. So I think you really added and contributed to that theme. So we really appreciate it, and we want to say thank you very much, Jerry. It's been an absolute pleasure and honor to have you address us. I mean, I know that place is, like I said, it's like one of the premier beaches in the world. And, I enjoyed all the times I went down there. So we gotta try to get you back on here because we have a can, a red
Okay.
can that everybody signs. So maybe one day we might have to ship it down to you.
Yeah.
You'll sign it, and we'll ship it back. Well, yeah.
Well,
So
let's do this. I still have family in New Jersey, and I get to see them not as much as I'd like, because when you live in Florida, it's better to come south than
Yeah.
to go
Yeah,
north, because
yeah,
everybody wants to.
yeah.
So I get up there once in a while. So when I do get an opportunity, I absolutely love to meet you guys. Sit down, talk.
Please
We'll
let us
save the
know.
beers for after the
Yeah.
program, and because once we do that, it'll definitely go off in a lot of different directions.
Yeah. We got to work on we got to get you video though. So we have to work on that. So,
Sounds good.
so anyway, I think we're going to say goodbye. And how about this though? We have you want to ask him, so on our beach, Jerry, we have our loudspeaker system, and we have a tradition. We give this is our beaches are closing for today. No more swimming, and we go on and on. And at the end, we say something that we've been doing for 30 years. We say, "Stay out and stay alive." And we always love to have one of our guests close our show and what do you call it? Say that exit. For
Yeah.
us.
So just we just say we're signing off. Stay out and stay alive.
Could you?
Oh, okay. You want me to do that now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So listen, we're gonna say goodbye, Jerry. Goodbye. We can't see you. We're gonna be out of here.
We appreciate it.
We appreciate it. We'll put a little music on here, and we're gonna sign off. If you could just send us out, and we really appreciate it.
Great talking with you guys. And the key thing is to stay out, stay alive.
Oh, I love it. Stay out and stay alive. Thank you, Jerry. We're gonna sign off. Thank you very much. We'll be talking to you.
You're welcome. You guys.